What's up, everybody? My name is Alec Harris, and my group and I are going to talk about leadership styles today. We're just going to go over about 4 different styles and just give you a brief overview and run through what they're about and some examples. First up, we got Alyssa. She's going to talk about autocratic leadership.
Hi, my name is Alyssa Burt, and I'm going to be talking about autocratic leadership. It is characterized by individual control over all decisions and little input from the group members. The leaders tend to make decisions without talking to their team. The work tends to be highly structured and very rigid, no playroom. It involves absolute authoritarian control over a group. When and where the authoritarian style is most useful can depend on factors such as the situation, the type of task the group is working on, and characteristics of the team members. Some characteristics of an autocratic leader is little or no input from group members. Leaders make almost all of the decisions. Group leaders dictate all the work methods and processes. Group members are rarely trusted with decisions or important tasks. Work tends to be highly structured and very rigid. Creativity and out-of-the-box thinking tend to be discouraged. Rules are important and tend to be clearly outlined and communicated. Some of the benefits include can make decisions quickly, especially in stress-filled situations. A clear chain of command and oversight, good where strong directive leadership is needed, and some drawbacks are discourages group input, can impair morale and lead to resentment, and may impair or ignore creative solutions and expertise from subordinates. Autocratic leaders thrive by doing the following. They listen to their team members. Their suggestions may not change your mind, but it may make you a good leader to listen to your team. In order to expect team members to follow your rules, you need to enforce the guidelines that you have come up with. You need to provide the group with the knowledge and tools they need. Be reliable and follow through and enforce the rules you have established. Recognize success, otherwise your team members may become unmotivated. One person who has an autocratic leadership style is Helen Gurley Brown. Brown is the former editor-in-chief of the magazine Cosmopolitan, who is known for many things, including her ability to constantly publish and turn profit for more than 30 years. And now Alec is going to speak about the democratic leadership.
Democratic leadership. Democratic leadership is a group where members are encouraged to share their ideas and opinions, even though the leader retains the final say over the decisions. Members of the group feel more engaged in this process because it allows them to talk more and be more involved in the decision-making process. Creativity is more commonly encouraged in this type of leadership because, if the other members of the group have more say, then it's pretty much going to be accepted by the group. Next slide, please. Characteristics of a democratic leader is honesty, intelligence, courage, creativity, competence, and fairness. Benefits of democratic leadership. Most of the time, you're going to have a highly productive type of environment because it's pushing for more input from members, so that allows greater productivity. So, an example of this would be Apple. Steve Jobs originally started out as an autocratic leader, and eventually that got to where the board didn't like that, so they booted him off the board, actually, and he left Apple for about 10 years. About 10 years later, he came back with a new democratic leadership style, and now that helped Apple become the tech giant that it is today.
Hey, I'm Alan. I'm going to be talking about laissez-faire leadership. When you hear the term laissez-faire, you usually think of laissez-faire economics, if you've ever taken a high school economics course or anything like that. Laissez-faire essentially means letting things take their own course, letting things just work out how they work out, no outside intervention, just letting the members and the people in a group just flourish, do their own thing. The leader can still take some control over what happens, but most of the time they just let them go and see what happens. These leaders are very hands-off. Like I said, they allow their group members to do whatever they like to do. They kind of worry about the outcomes later. It's kind of the lowest productivity of any of the leadership styles due to this hands-off approach, because it allows members to go at their own pace, and as humans, we tend to be pretty lazy creatures. So we can take things slow, and that is detrimental to productivity. Working in a creative field where people tend to be highly motivated, skilled, creative, and dedicated to their work, you can get good results from this kind of style. People really care about what they're working on. They're more likely to work harder and stick to a deadline or a time period for a project. And when they get to work with more freedom, it allows their creativity to kind of flourish. They can do what they want, when they want, how they want it. They can think about things more. They're allowed to expand on their creative ideals. Next slide. So some of the characteristics of a laissez-faire leadership style. There's very little guidance from the leaders. Like I said, at the end of the project or task, there could be some input from the leaders, but most of the time it's hands-off. Let the members do what they want. Again, create freedom for complete freedom for followers to make decisions about a project. It just lets them, they get to be free. The leaders get to provide the tools and the resources. They're at the top of the chain. So whatever a member needs, the leader is tasked with finding and figuring out. To kind of contradict that, group members are expected to solve problems of their own. When you're working on something by yourself, you kind of have to work on it by yourself. If you hit any bridges or crossroads, you kind of have to decide that on your own leisure. Most of the power is handed to the followers or the members, yet the leaders still take responsibility for the outcomes of the project, whatever you're working on. Some of the benefits can work for motivated teams with high expertise and skills. So again, that goes back to the fact that if you care about what you're working on, you know what you're working on, you can be more productive and you can get things done in a faster fashion if that's your style. Creative teams usually value the independence. That's for like an art project, for example. If you're in a group project in an art class, most people, especially here at UNA, they can, like art majors, for example, they like to be creative. They like to think of their own space. They like to work by themselves, and that can usually tend to lead to better outcomes. Works well when leaders provide needed information and materials. Like I said again, most of the ideals and decisions get to be made by the members, but the leader is still the top of the chain. They still have to figure out the resources and the materials and whatnot. Some of the drawbacks: it's not good for groups lacking needed skills and motivation. If you're in a group and you don't know what you're really working on, and the leader just lets you out there, you don't know what you're doing. So that's a drawback of laissez-faire. This can result in poor performance and overall results. If you don't know what you're doing and you mess up your part of a project, that's detrimental to the whole team. The leader can kind of appear uninvolved, unsupportive of the whole thing. That's not really how it's meant to be, but they can appear that way, especially if you let your members just go by themselves and work on things by themselves. You can delegate most tasks, and it just has the appearance to make the leader look uninterested in the overall group. Confusions over roles in the group. If one person thinks they're doing more than another person, they might think they need to be the leader, or they might need to lead this part of the project or this part of the group. It can just lead to some conflict in the group leadership. One good example is Warren Buffett. To go back to the economic aspect of it, Warren Buffett and his main business manager, since he runs such a big company and a big multinational organization, He likes to put his trust in his other managers, um, especially his lower managers. One quote he has is saying, "I would want them to do to me if the roles were reversed." So he just wants to trust them, and he wants them to trust him. The leadership style can inspire positive changes in those who follow. Again, if you have respect for your group and your members as a leader, it can the vice versa could happen. Your leaders and your group members could have respect for you. This usually helps positive outcomes. These leaders are concerned and involved in the process. They're also focused on helping every member of the group succeed well. Again, kind of the hands-off approach can make it seem like they're involved, but most laissez-faire leaders like to be involved. They like to see how their team members are doing. They like to see the work that's going on. Transformational leadership can be seen when leaders and followers make each other advance to a higher level of morale and motivation. Again, if you let your people go and they get to do whatever they want at their own pace, it can help motivation and morale. People are more free to do their own ideas and their own things. These leaders are able to inspire followers to change expectations, perceptions, and motivations to work towards common goals. Laissez-faire leaders can still be very inspirational, very effective in their job, even with the hands-off approach that laissez-faire brings. But if someone is having trouble, you're able to inspire them and give them kind of the right direction they need to be in as a leader. That's mostly your job. Transformational leaders garner trust, respect, and admiration from their followers. If you're a good laissez-faire leader, you have the ability to get trust from your members when you give them trust or when you give them respect or admiration. It usually comes back to you. 4 components of transformational leaders. 1, these leaders not only challenge the status quo, they also encourage creativity among followers. Again, with the hands-off, you can flourish. Your creativity can flourish. You can work at your own pace. You can think about things more than if you were in a tight-knit group with a big leader. These leaders serve as a role model for followers because followers trust and respect the leader. If you're a good leader and you give your members respect, that'll come back to you. In order to foster supportive relationships, the leaders keep lines of communication open so that followers feel free to share ideas and so that leaders can offer direct recognition of the unique contributions of each follower. So again, when you work at your own pace and you finish things at your own pace, you can finish things to a higher expectation, to a higher quality than in some systems. And the leader needs to recognize that, and he needs to keep his communication open in case a member does have any issues or any trouble. Transformational leaders have a clear vision that they're able to articulate to followers. Transformational leaders are looking forward to the future. They're looking for the end goal. They're trying to build to the end goal. So when you're looking to the future, you can inspire your followers to do the same, to look for that end goal, to work towards that end goal. One good and modern example of transformational leadership would be Barack Obama, our recent president. During his campaign, he had a goal for change. Whether you agree with him or not on most things, he was looking to bring change to the country. Many people got behind that. Many people were looking forward to the future with him as president and looking for his ideals to actually bring a change. So that's a great example of transformational leadership. Yes, we can. The future, the forward-thinking ideals got a lot of support from a lot of people. Obviously, he was president, so that's a good point.